Stay tuned for another episode of the Coming Soon podcast with sPidA.
Hello, everybody. sPidA here once again. Coming soon podcast, San Antonio, Texas. My guest, all the way up in Austin, Texas. That's like 2 days away. Corey TRAHAN, my man. How are you?
I'm good. How about you? It's great to be here.
No, likewise, man. I know. I ran into you guys, or at least part of your posse out there in Houston 2 weeks ago, man, at the Houston Horror Film Festival. And I mean, let me start off with that, man. I mean, what were you guys doing out there?
Yeah, so I am a film director, a horror film director, and part owner of a production company, a film production company here out of Austin, Texas, named Horror Web Productions or HW Productions. And we have a couple films out. One of them was being shown there at the Houston Horror Film Festival. So we were very fortunate. They selected our film, so we were there sort of to watch our film and to talk to people about it. And it was called the Black Quarry. It's about a metal band, a black metal band that goes out to shoot a music video in the woods, and they sort of um, rise up this creature. So it's kind of a creature feature, fun metal rock musician, total chaos.
And I was gonna say, man. I mean, of course. I mean, when it comes to influence for that film, bro, because I mean, you are in the band. So was that kind of like influential? I mean, was that a way for you guys to combine pretty much both?
Yeah, I mean, people say the script was written by me for that particular film, and people, they'll say write what you know, and I've been a music producer, engineer, and a touring musician for 20 something years, and so
Nice.
I know I like horror comedies. It's just one of the things that I like, and there's nothing funnier than being on tour or with a band, with a rock band. I mean, they're just a bunch of jackasses. It's just we have a lot of fun. You having to entertain yourself for long hours, and so it just sort of breeds comedy, honestly. And so it's a topic that I knew because I've lived it. I mean, not in a black metal band, but bands are bands, and so it was something I knew about, and it sort of touched on a genre that I really enjoy, which is horror comedy.
No, no. I mean, I agree, man. I mean, when it comes to horror, I mean, that's definitely my go-to. Of course, a lot of classics from the '80s that I grew up watching. Let me ask you, because you said that you wrote about stuff that you know about. So, in this movie, is there some truth to it?
Um, no, it's nothing like that. I wouldn't say it really is truly fictional. In the sense that I never traveled out to shoot a video at a quarry
Oh,
outside of Austin and resurrected a monster from
right.
potentially from Revelations that would herald the end of the world. Although that would be pretty dope, dude. Like like
Not
how
yet. Not yet.
yeah, yeah. I wouldn't have survived, and not to give it away, but survived to tell the tale.
No, no, for sure, man. And of course, I mean, this was my first time actually in Houston, man, for that festival, dude. Last year I missed it. I had prior engagements, but it was a blast, bro. Unfortunately, we had to leave early Saturday. We had a family emergency. Had to come back home, but it was fun. I mean, just watching everybody out there enjoying themselves and dressing up, and I mean, it's a little preview for Halloween. Everybody waits out for this upcoming holiday. And the reason I'm bringing that up too, man, because of course you mentioned when it comes to you, working with, as far as Bat City Scaregrounds and also Nightmare on 19th Street, man. Tell us about those two. I mean, one's in Austin, one's in Lubbock. So is there a portal? Is there an underground, tunnel that you take from?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's really the last thing you want to do is take it. It's really scary. But no, so this time of the year, it's really I guess about 20 years ago, I started to do these Halloween theme parks, and
Yeah.
they're multi-attraction like haunted houses where you and so I've just been always a horror lover, and I enjoy creating animatronics and things like that. And so I found a business partner in Lubbock, Texas, and we opened up Nightmare on 19th Street there. That was we've been in business. This will be our 18th year, I believe, there, and it's four attractions, and that place has just blew up over the years. It draws people from New Mexico, Odessa, Midland. Just people drive hours to go out to it, and so it was a learning process, and that production wise for the sets, and we kept pushing, and my partner and I kept putting money back into it because we both were just very passionate about horror production, like bringing this to West Texas. They don't have a lot out there, particularly in that genre of things. And so, but the cool thing nowadays is you can take that out of West Texas and put it anywhere, and it would be pretty awesome anywhere. And it's especially awesome there because there's not a lot happening. And so, about 6 or 7 years ago, I was traveling a lot to Lubbock from Austin, which you may know is not a short drive. It's about 6 hours.
Yeah.
Um, we decided to open up one here in Austin. It was doing well, so we have now a sister theme park called Bat City Scaregrounds, and this is going to be our fourth year in Austin. And so I get to stay at home in October and run Bat City Scaregrounds, which is great. And Bat City sort of started off, whereas with Nightmare on 19th Street, we kind of learned how to become producers and
Yeah.
design, and we learned about the business. We learned about it. Whereas
Yeah.
City, we came in hot. We already knew we had a great team of artists that are working out there from the very beginning. So we came in hot, and we knew
Yeah.
about this, and so it's taking off and doing really well, really fast, which was
No, yeah, and I was gonna say too, because out there in Midland, Lubbock, I mean Odessa area, I was a postal employee 15 years, man. I left 7 years ago, and I
oh
was actually contacted by a postmaster out there. They were looking for employees, and they offered me more money, and I'm like, hey, well, what's it like? And he says, well, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. There's dirt, and then there's dirt. He said, you're gonna go home. There's gonna be dirt everywhere, and I'm like, so I said, let me think about it, man. So of course I didn't take it, but I mean, of course, I mean, I think it's smart because yeah, there's not much out there. I mean, there's the oil rigs, the fields. I mean, there's money when it comes to everybody going out there and making it. So give them something to entertain them, and of course they're gonna show up, man.
yeah. Lubbock is a fairly is a it's for that area is one of the biggest cities in that area. They call it Hub City because a lot of the surrounding smaller towns, people sort of move to Lubbock to go to Texas Tech, or that's where most of the bigger city style jobs are. It's not like Austin or Houston or Dallas, but still, I think of the surrounding like county areas, 300 or 400,000 people. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of surrounding communities within an hour. So
No, no, for sure, man. And of course, I mean, the fact, like you mentioned, you opened the sister company out there in Austin, knowing that you already had the experience. You developed those skills. When you got to Austin, those already people there. I'm sure that you knew that were involved when it came to film and everything else. So I kind of figured it was easier for you to pick up, uh, people to help you out.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's just Austin's sort of a thriving
Yeah,
um, area for artists, and so we were fortunate enough to one of my main artist production guys from Lubbock. He moved down to live on the property at Bat City, so I had him sort of in house, and I also had some friends that I had met that were fans of my bands for the years, and they were also fans. They had lived in Lubbock. They grew up in Lubbock. Kayla, who runs Zombie Peep Show, is one of them. She has these really sort of blows people's minds. She has a shoe and clothing company, and she's outfitted people like Lady Gaga and all these
yeah.
people. And with her, yeah, for like 20 years or something. It's
Damn.
incredible. She's an incredible artist. So her and her husband were living in Austin, and they grew up with Nightmare because we had been around for so long. And so they were like, hell yeah, man, we want to get involved. And from the very beginning, I've been fortunate enough to have their artistry and
Nice.
efforts, and her husband's a good construction person. In addition to just other artists and people um, that either I've met or that sort of along the way, or that I knew prior that just that got involved in
Yeah,
something. So there was no I mean, I will say it's not easy work. It's hot, and
yeah,
you're producing, and the art is not a comfortable art. You're not painting a painting in an air conditioned, you're producing a big scene in a really hot area, and you're fighting the elements always. And so you really have to be passionate and driven to do haunted house production. But it's very similar to film, though. I mean, obviously, that was sort of the transition from film for me. But
No, and let me ask you because, of course, when it comes to Austin, I mean, here in San Antonio, man, I mean, the city itself has grown tremendously over the years. I mean, I know there's a lot of outside, people that have moved into the city. I mean, have you been working with a lot of these new Austin? I wouldn't even know what to call it, but I mean, as far as residents out there.
um, you know, the area that we're in, which is South Austin, Buda, like right on
Oh,
the
okay.
edge, is a fastly growing area. I bought that property. It was 15 acres, and it was agricultural, but we're only like 15 miles to downtown Austin, and
Yeah.
so it's very close to downtown. But it was a relatively unpopulated and agricultural for some weird reason. So I got lucky, and we bought that. But I bought it because the corridor, the main highway corridor that connects Austin to San Antonio, was supposed to grow by like 10 million people in 10 years, and you can see it. So there's a huge amount of communities that are building up around the park, and they're putting in a middle school across the street from the
Oh,
park.
nice.
And so because of that, we are getting a lot of new. We have a fresh actor base each year, and I do get a lot of people asking how can they get involved with production and the in artistic, or even things like security or things like that, or be vendors. We have a lot of requests for vendors,
Oh, yeah.
people that want to come in, and we have a marketplace every night that we're open where we have 15 or so vendors where they're selling things,
Yeah.
and you can go. So yeah, dude, it's really cool. That's one great thing about Austin, is there's just a lot of there's a lot of things to do. So there's a lot of competition, but also there's a lot of people,
No,
right?
yeah, you see, and I was gonna say too, because even though there's other people out there, doing when it comes to the promoters, to entertainment. I mean, they're out there, but man, there's so many people out there, bro. I mean, even here in San Antonio, people. I don't think they worry as much anymore as far as like getting customers, because there's, dude, like it's been thousands, thousands of people just coming in. But it's fun, I mean, as a fan, I mean, I definitely love that, you guys are out there doing your thing, because it does entertain us. I have never been to Bat City, man, so I definitely want to try to go out there this year. I don't scare easily, so I wanna see if you guys can prove me wrong, man. I'm gonna go in there and see, bro.
Yeah, well, there's a certain thing, when it comes to, I mean, I've been doing it for a long time,
Yeah,
and the fact of the matter is, you're not going to scare everyone. You do your best to try, but it's always funny to me. There are people that sort of go to haunted houses refusing to be scared. It's almost like, would you go to a comedy club refusing to laugh, or do
yeah,
you open yourself up to these things? And some people just go, and they're either embarrassed by being scared with their people, or for whatever reason, and that's okay. That's just human nature. But I do want them to leave with a sense of, that was really cool.
yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah,
Even if they weren't scared, it was like, it felt like we were in a movie. That was really
nice.
cool. And if you leave with at least that feeling, then you're gonna feel like you've got your money's worth.
No, no, for sure. You see, and I'm gonna retract a little bit. Like, it's been when I was a kid. I mean, we used to go to them, and of course, we all got scared and ran. As I got older, I think the last one that I went to was actually inside a amusement park here in San Antonio, and we walked in there, and man, it was so pitch dark, bro. Like, I couldn't see anything. Like, it was from daylight to night,
Yeah.
and I'm walking around literally blind. And it turns out, like, my girl at the time was behind me holding on, and I formed a line. There was a line of people just holding on to each other, and here I am stumbling into walls, and it was like, the lady that was kind of like, hey, the hostess was like, follow my voice, follow my voice. I couldn't see her, bro. I'm like, I can't. I was like, I don't know where you're at. So it was just like an awkward experience,
Yeah,
but
well,
yeah,
that's cool that you brought that up, because I mean, it's not cool. It's not a great experience for you, but one of the things that we're always fighting with is in the haunted house production, especially now that we do film and we do film
yeah,
set production, is that we just do this really incredible production, and we spend all this time. If it's a Frankenstein's lab, all the way down to all the books are related to electricity and things, and we make fake degrees and stuff, and put it up on, you know, and 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 no one ever really sees this stuff
Yeah.
because you're only going through that room for a couple seconds. Also, you can't really just turn on the lights for everyone to see everything because then it's not scary. And so there's
Yeah.
always this tug of war between the scariest thing you could possibly do is just put someone in complete darkness, but that's also a cop out, kind of a cheap way out,
Yeah.
and it's not only is it unsafe, but it's kind of a you know you really want to blow some if you really want to blow someone's mind, then immerse them in
Yeah.
something like you would a film or a movie. Immerse them in a different world, in a different
Yeah.
place. And so, but still there's always that tug of war of, or I wish this was could be lit better because I sure wish people could see all this work we did over here, but if we light it too much then
Yeah.
our actors can't scare people and it's not scary. And so
No,
it
yeah, yeah.
never ends. That tug of war never ends.
No, no, for sure, man. And that was just, my experience, but it
Yeah.
did happen. And after I stepped on someone's hand,
Oh yeah.
I poked someone's eye. I don't know. I was all over the place, bro. Like I couldn't. I'm trying to find the wall, and it's like, but yeah, but that was the last one I did. I did like a haunted outside trail. I think 2 years ago, and that was pretty fun. I had fun with it. So yeah, it's like you said. I mean, as long as people are entertained and they go home with something, because you know, I guess like you said, if people go out there with that mentality that they're not gonna get scared, then yeah, that's just on them. But I mean, yeah, I want to go and be entertained, so that's fair.
Yeah, it's people. It is what it is. But our attractions had specifically different themes,
Yeah,
and they're very different. And they can be the artwork is completely different. And so we try to hit a bunch of different phobias and a bunch of different an array of fears, an array of things. And so hoping some of those things will hit. And if nothing hits, at least when you leave, you'll be like, oh, there was a few really dope scenes in there, man. That was really cool. So.
no, no, for sure. And let me bring up. I mean, of course, I want to. You have a lot going on, bro. So we're gonna be a little bit back and forth. But I mean, when it comes to music, I mean, of course, this is the band that you're in now. When it comes to being a musician, man, when did that start for you?
I've been in high school and middle school I was in bands with my friends, not
Right.
really playing legitimate bands, and then when I went to college, my first year of college, I joined a group of older guys, and we did cover music in East Texas. I'm from Beaumont area, so we would
Okay.
go to Louisiana and Texas, and they taught me the ropes on how to run PAs and stuff. So I've really been playing. That was '96. So
Yeah.
I would say I've been an actively, regionally touring musician since '96 or so. So a long time.
Sweet, man.
Played in a lot of different bands in a lot of different places, and so COVID hit, and I was in a band at the time that I'd been in and called Residue for I don't know 10, 11, 12 years. It had
Wow.
gone through some different members and different phases, but I really wanted to do something different, and that band was more of an art rock band,
Yeah.
heavier art rock band, and it was really hard. Writing music in a band like that can be challenging because we had a lot of songwriters, and getting it through the filtration of all our songwriters in an art project is not an easy one. Sometimes it would take months to finish writing a song. And so I have a really good friend. Her name is Sarah Webb, or Scara, Damsel of Doom, as you guys may know. And she's in the films. She's a part of the park. She's my hostess at the park. She does pretty much a ton of things that I do with me, kind of an artistic partner there.
Right.
But I hit her up, and I'm like, I really wanted to. It was in the heat of COVID, and we were all just bored. And I was like, I really want to start a new project where I can sort of cross the streams and do something horror, which is what I love. Get away from the art project a little bit. I mean, and it's still original music. It's still stuff we've written, but it's easier, just easier, and a little bit and theatrical because in an art project it's all about the music, right? And so I'd
Right.
done that for a while, and I'm like, I want to do something theatrical that's related to horror, that is straightforward and in people's faces and aggressive. And I don't want to sing. I was a singer for most of the time, and I was like, I just want to play guitar and just chill. And she would do it. And so in a week, I wrote probably the first 6 or 7 songs of our set. And it was
Damn,
just really relieving because I could just write music, and just,
nice.
and, we still brought them into the practice room and still massaged them over. And then since then, the whole band has been writing music for us. Of course, it's not just driven by me, but initially it was kind of just nice to be able to puke out some horror sort of ripped kind of punk, pop punk music.
Yeah,
Um, and so that band started, and in the pandemic, we played a couple house parties once the pandemic started to chill out, and then we've been playing in Austin ever since, man. And it's really just the band's taken off, dude. I mean, the theatrical component really pulls people in. The music is has some pop sensibilities, so it has a pretty wide palette to it. So it's not very the demographic is not just it's not so tight. And it goes perfect with the parks. So we play a
yeah.
lot of parks, and it's great. It's just a lot of fun. We're playing in Waco this Saturday. So
Oh, nice, man. Okay. And I was gonna say too, because when it comes to the sound, I mean, this is just from a few songs. I mean, for me, it kind of reminds me of the when, like, I guess new wave and punk rock were going on. That the sound was just, it was raw, but it was, you could understand it. You can move to it. I mean, the beat was great, and it kind of throws me back. I mean, it's melodic, dude. It's just, I mean, theatrical is definitely a word to throw out there, because I mean, it is entertaining. I mean, vocally, she's out there doing her thing, so she's grabbing attention, and everybody's going with the vibe, man.
oh yeah, and Sarah is just amazing live. Like so, she is just the utmost performer in almost all things that she does, and so it's just nice for me to be able to sit back and play guitar. I mean, we all do put on performance, but
Yeah,
but she dominates. She can dominate a crowd,
nice, man.
and it takes the pressure off of me for once, and then the rest of the band, and we can just organically entertain instead of but it's yeah. I mean, the lyrics of the songs are a lot of fun because I like to tell stories.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
early on, I was writing a lot of the lyrics, which were just fun, quirky stories about a goblin or a werewolf that pisses on your carpet at home or whatever. And then Sarah and I have a very similar sense of humor, and so she sort of took up the reins, and so she writes all this stuff now, the lyrics, and they're great. So we kind of kept that comical story, fun Halloween quirky vibe.
nice, bro. And I was gonna say too, man, because I mean, like you said, I mean, the previous project, I mean, you couldn't really write, as far as it wasn't comfortable. I mean, the fact that this goes along with everything that you enjoy, which is horror. I mean, you have the entertainment spots out there. Um, I mean, when it comes to writing, because of course you used to sing, you were singing prior to this project. Was it was you taking a break because of your vocals, or were you just kind of like, man, I just want to jam out?
Yeah, that is a good point. Like I did have started having some vocal problems for a while that were tied to allergies and stuff,
Yeah,
and so that's inevitably I got that under control, but it added stress to music that I
yeah,
didn't enjoy. I mean, it made it sort of like a stressful thing because we were playing at the time. My band, the Art Project, was playing with some pretty notable bigger bands, and canceling shows wasn't an option because you're burning bridges, and so I just would be pushing a raw voice, and so I had to get that sort of under taken care of, and so I think yeah, it may have been like I just had some trauma there a little bit
yeah.
with it sort of pushing stress into my musical career, which is always just supposed to be fun for me. That's why I never did it professionally in the sense that I never relied on it to make an income because I always wanted it to be fun and it was adding stress to it. So there could have been definitely a part of that where giving up the vocal reins. Not only did I already just know that Sarah could do an excellent job, if not better than me, um, but there could have been just me just getting tired of fighting with that too,
Yeah.
for
No,
sure.
no, for sure, man. And the reason I asked too was because, I mean, of course, even talking. I mean, you're out there, trying to get across through the stage, through the
Hmm.
whatever performance, area venue you were working. So I'm sure you had to like yell it out, So I can only imagine the
Yeah.
stress that you have to keep putting on you, man.
Yeah, I mean the big part is it's always funny because I was on tour with at some point a long time ago with a band Papa Roach. We were opening up
Oh
for
yeah,
Texas, and I was talking to Jacoby the singer, and I was having voice issues then, and so was he. And he was like, "The worst thing you can do is hang out afterwards and try to talk to people over this loud ass house music." He's like, "It destroys your voice. You won't."
yeah,
He's right, dude. It was like, you look like an asshole because the first thing you do is bell after the show, but you're
yeah,
saving your voice for the next show. And
yeah,
we were playing like a week or two straight, and so it was just anyway. We don't really do that anymore. Now we're kind of weekend warriors, which is like
yeah,
we just do so much because most everybody in the band is affiliated with the park or
yeah.
film. I mean, we're all just this group, and so we we do it as much as we really want to. So
No, you see, and I guess I mean, like you said, that's where the fun part is because you're enjoying it. You're going out there, I mean, I've done photography. Well, actually, I mean, you said when it came to music, man, this was '96. Did you say when it started for you?
hmm
You
that's
see,
right.
in '90, I mean, I, I didn't grow up with punk rock. I mean, I got into punk rock music '87, '88. I had a zine, which is actually something I'm revamping in '97. In the mid '90s, I started, and I just started like I was already going to shows. So I said, you know what, I'm going to interview these bands. Um, I got across pretty big, man. I mean, I got international. I only had 4 issues that I put out, and it was like selling in Germany and Spain. I mean, it was like wild. And record labels, back then were sending me like boxes of just vinyl just for me to review, and sell for them. That was like I was sending them checks, everything. I laughed because I was telling my buddy the other day everything I was doing back then. I was networking. It was social media. I was writing letters, bro. I was
Mhm.
writing letters, putting stamps, and interviewing bands across the U.S., across the world, and different times. Because here we are, click of a button, man. Everything changed. Now it's quick, direct, but
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. I'm actually revamping it. Like I said, I would love to get you guys as a band because I can get up to like 10 people in this bad boy. So I would like to get like even if it's yourself and the vocalist or if everybody can make it, just kind of plug that in. But I mean, it'll be on that portion of the my project and just keep it going, man. Because obviously, I mean, what you're doing is something that when I grow up, I want to do, man. I already hit 50, bro. But it's like if I get any older, it's just to be able to go out there and enjoy it, man. Have fun. You get to travel. I mean, of course, meet people. So
yeah,
great
yeah. It's
times.
great. It really is great, and we'd love to come. And we'd love to come and be a part of your show as a band. And our full regalia. Which is
Let's go.
we all wear makeup and shit. It's a whole thing. She's a witch and we're vampires, and there's a whole story. And yeah, it's a if you would have asked me when I was in my 20s, do I think I would have still been a you know uh, actively touring musician when I was my age now, which is almost 48, and I would have said no way, dude. If I'm that old and I'm playing, rock and roll music, somebody just put me out of my misery, But in the end, um, the makeup helps. but it works. People dig it,
Yeah.
and I didn't grow up listening to punk rock. The closest thing I you're my age. I mean, we grew up during the Seattle. I
Oh
was
yeah,
and
Nirvana and all that stuff.
closest thing that I listened to that was punk rock was they're not, but Nirvana and stuff like that, which was more chordal, power chordal
Yeah,
kind of things. And so this was, I went and did some research for this band. I had to go do
yeah,
some research and like learn mostly like the sort of scale structure of spooky kind of riffs, like creature featurey kind of riffs. That is was a lot of fun going and figuring out like we have a song called Mummy Bat that's kind of that that features these sort of spooky riffs, and so that was a blast. Honestly, I got to go and sort of do some research and go back to the Misfits, or maybe not so much the Misfits, more quirky, fun things.
Yeah,
Like there was this one guy who wrote the Haunted Mansion theme song, and he has his own. He has a band that's been around forever, and a ton of his songs feature these spooky riffs, and they were
yeah,
a huge part of the research that I did for the Immortals and writing,
nice.
starting off, and then once I had some songs written and everybody was kind of like, oh, okay, I see what we're gonna do, because most of the members of this band were my art band,
Yeah,
right? So they were the same band. I just relinquished the vocals over to Scara, and then we one of the guitar players had a baby, so we were already tight right out the we have
nice.
been playing together forever, but they were just kind of like, well, okay, what is this now? What are we doing? So I did some research. I came back and I wrote 4 or 5 songs, and it got everybody on the same picture. But yeah, it was fun. I wasn't a punk. I didn't listen to punk growing up. I was Tool. I loved Tool, and these sort of Soundgarden and stuff. Mike Patton. I've always been a big fan of Mike Patton. But
Oh, yeah. You see, and one of the things too, man, because I brought it up quite a bit, but I mean, for me, watching horror films from the '80s, a lot of the music, was either punk rock or it was metal.
hmm
So when I got to high school and I grew up listening to rap. I was listening to Run DMC, and I was a skateboarder. So, and it wasn't until I got to high school, '87, that a classmate, plugged me into some punk rock music. And like I'm listening to these songs, and I'm like, dude, I know that song. And he's like, I thought you didn't listen to it. And I'm like, no, but it's in this movie. And so I kind of like, and I was like, dude, I was a fan of punk rock before it was even out there, before I knew what it was, right? But it was just cool, man. So I've always kind of like incorporated both. It's always been for me. It's always been punk rock music or metal with horror music, dude. So I mean, the fact that you guys plug in the entertainment, haunted houses, dude, that just freaking makes sense, man.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, a lot of that just sort of happened. Whether you actively, that's the genre of music that you actively would put your cassette tape in or whatever,
Yeah,
you were enjoying it and you were exposed to it through other things that you were like your film, like through film. I mean, one of my favorite '80s films is Night of the Demons. I just
oh
love
yes,
Night of the Demons, and
yeah,
the guy Tinney, who is directed that, wrote a lot of the music for that, and it was very punk rock,
bro.
and I loved it. And also, when Angela, the main actress of that film, she's becoming demonically possessed, and she does this killer dance in front of this
Yes, bro.
fireplace. They use Stigmata Martyr by Bauhaus. I'd never heard of Bauhaus before. I didn't
Yeah,
know. The first song I heard by them was not Bela Lugosi's Dead, which is one everyone knows. It was
yeah,
Stigmata Martyr because I was watching horror films in the
yeah.
'80s, and that's what exposed me to that band. So
No, yeah, bro. And there's actually an event. I'll plug you in, happening here in San Antonio. They have two of the actresses from Demons 1 and 2 showing up.
oh really, Lene?
Yeah, bro. So
Yeah,
I'm excited because I'm a huge fan too, man. So I was like, when they posted that, I was like, yeah, I'll be there for sure,
cool.
man.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And let me ask you, I mean, of course, when it comes to the horror web, man, tell us a little bit about that, bro. Because like I said, you got like 100 things going on, man.
Well, it's everything is this season, but Horror Web. You know, we were building this theme park in Austin, and we were building a castle, and we during the production we had a really nice scene. And it was like, it would be sweet if we just filmed in the scene, just shot it for no reason, but let's just do it. And we did, and we shot something, and it was Scara, and she got up in her Scara Damsel of the Doom gear, and she had her blood eyes. And my band member at the time, for my art project, he could run a camera, so he came out, and we shot a short little thing of Scara walking with a candle through this castle that we had produced, and it just kind of blew everybody's mind as to like, damn, this looks amazing. Like I would watch this film, like
Yeah,
this is if this was a film, I would watch it. And what we had done is we kind of had started this thing, Horror Web, and but what we were doing was we were interviewing artists, and so
yeah,
it was more of a celebration of horror artists. So we were interviewing, like we interviewed ministry came through. We interviewed some of their band members. We interviewed like local horror stores, the owners of these stores, and just whoever, if they had an affiliation with something edgy or horror, we were
yeah,
doing interviews. And so our Horror Web channel, if you go back, 5, 6 years ago, you'll see these interviews, and Scara is doing the interviews, and we sort of built up a skill set to be able to run cameras and do lighting doing these interviews. And we shot this little video, and we're like, this is pretty sweet, dude. I think we can do this. Let's shoot a short. Let's do a short film.
Damn.
And so I quickly wrote something. I threw down something. It's called The Witch's Bargain. It was called The Witch's Bargain. And we shot a short film and we submitted it. And that sucker won over 50 international awards. And
Damn.
yeah, it just did incredible. And so at that point, it was like, okay, I think we're onto something. I think we have, like, none of us come from a film background. None of us went to school for film, but every one of us is an artist. And so, we had a premiere a few weeks ago for my latest feature, Damsel of the Doom, and it's a horror web film that I directed featuring Scare. It's a story about Scared. She wrote it, and I talked about this. And the funny thing, the truth behind the horror web is it's a lot like Gwar. If you know the band Gwar,
Yeah.
basically Gwar were not musicians. They were just the theater students who formed a band, and they really sucked, but they had a killer.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to go see them, and then they learned how to play their
Yeah.
instruments.
No, yeah.
And that was the progression of war. They sort of went at things backwards, whereas most people would go to school, learn a technical skill, and then a lot of times that's where the buck stops, and that's not enough to connect to people. You have to be able to connect to people through your art. And so the technical skill is important. It wasn't until Gore learned how to play their instruments that they really started to connect. But as art students and film students, they were able to connect at that level and then learn the technical. And that's sort of what we did. I mean, we jumped right in, and we had the artistry of set production. We knew what looked good in the camera, and so we just didn't quite know how to get to that. And so we shot a bunch of shorts, and we taught and we learned, and the whole team, and that was sort of the birth of Horror Web Productions. And so as of now, we have a two features. One's called The Black Quarry, as I was talking about before, and it's more of like a horror hosted TV series. So it's an hour long, and we have the host of it is Scara. She's like a kind of like a Elvira, kind of she introduces the film, and then it moves over to the film. And the film is about a black metal band, as I was saying. And that one we shot a couple years ago, and then I just finished one called Scared Damsel of the Doomed, and that one is about to hit film festival circuit now. And that's a more traditional feature length film. That's an hour and 20 minutes, and it's about Scara, but it's kind of like not exactly about her. It's about she wrote the script, and it's about this horror host who works at a drive-in and who does, in fact, we do screen theater at a drive-in. So it's kind of like art imitating life, right? And then
Oh yeah.
she meets someone, and it and becomes this, a star, and all this stuff happens. And so I'm really excited about this film getting out, because we have progressed as a film production team. Every film that we do, you could just see us learning and becoming better.
Yeah.
And so it really is. There are moments during this film when you're really starting to see the potential of the company, of our production company, and it's really it's just really cool. And it
No,
did.
you see, and that's bound to happen too, though, man. Because of course, I mean, you guys are going to be learning every time you guys are out there. You're learning something, or maybe you see something else that works, and you're like, you know what, let me try this. So I mean, I think that's part of life. I mean, of course, when we do something, I mean, we try to make it a little bit better every time. So I can only see, y'all's projects getting better every showing, bro. I mean, let me ask you about the time frame, because you mentioned the more traditional an hour and 20 minutes. So I always ask people, because when it comes to a feature film, like what's your take on the length for a feature film?
Yeah, so commonly for independent films that are micro budget, which is what our films are, I'm hoping the next film, a film that I wrote called Demon Code, it's actually not a micro budget. It's a small budget, which is anywhere between 1 to 5 million, for that type of budget for that film. But this film was a micro budget film, and typically they're shorter films because you just don't have the money to keep, for more locations. Everything costs money,
Yeah.
right? And so because you have budgetary limitations, you just don't have location expenses, and that kind of thing. And so they can typically be shorter films, and it's actually recommended that independent films that are micro budgets be fairly short, um, and try to be the most impactful you can in a short amount of time. Tell your story,
Yeah.
but try to be impactful and spend your money where it counts. You know.
No, that's true. Yeah, because I mean, when it comes to fake blood props and everything else, like you said, it does cost money. So, but yeah, well, let me ask you, when it comes to living in Austin, bro, because I mean, I used to travel out there a lot, for the shows back in the day. I mean, Pink Flamingo, Back Room,
Mhm.
you name it. All these venues that we used to pop in. Like, for you, I mean, what's your take on Austin? Because of course, a lot of people are still moving out there. But I mean, being that you guys live south in Buda, I mean, what would you recommend people to move out there? I mean, because I know there's plenty of smaller towns around Austin as well.
Yeah, like I actually live in the Austin, and actually Austin proper. The park is in Buda. It's basically though in Austin. It's right on the edge of
Yeah,
Buda and
yeah,
Austin. But Austin has changed. I moved here in 2000 to go to graduate school, and I was lucky enough to be able to play at a lot of the legacy style bars like the Back Room and Steamboat and stuff.
oh yeah,
To play
emos.
those places before they shut down,
Yeah,
as and so that's really cool. As a matter of fact, the Back Room had been around. You mentioned that for like 30 years, and it was a
yeah,
staple for the metal. And my one of my really good film director friends, Boudreaux Partida, did a documentary about the
yeah.
Back Room,
Saw
and
that.
I did the original soundtrack for it, and so it's in film festivals now. And actually, I'll be going to LA in a couple weeks with him because he got officially selected for that Backroom documentary in a film festival out there. So we're going to go out there and have and get it
Sweet,
in
man.
theater. So we're pumped about. But it's definitely changed. And the thing about Austin, you have a lot of people. It's a growing city. It's a young city. It's uh, you know it's you don't have a lot of old parts. It's not it's a very safe and young city. And you have people that it's very dense. It's becoming more dense. Infrastructurally, there's issues as far as like transportation and stuff, because forever people were just influxing,
Yeah.
influxing, and so it's the I'll say the negative first, and the negative really is that it's expensive to live here, especially
Oh
in the
yeah.
city proper. It's very expensive nowadays. It's not like it used to be, and so that unfortunately does drive out artists. They live in the outer communities, or some of them just leave the area completely. They're just tired of it. That said, and there's certainly that complaint. People make that complaints about the city. That said, and they're always shutting bars that you love down. Like the
Yeah.
Lost Well was one of our favorite places, and the Black Quarry was shot at the Lost Well. So I have
Oh
scenes from
damn.
the film there, and it recently we just found out it's being shut down for another high rise. And so it's
Yeah.
like one of those things. But on the flip side, there is still a heavy artistic component to Austin. It's just a dynamic component, and the older you get, the less tendency you have to really explore and find out where those new areas are.
Oh yeah.
And I find that it helps being in a band and getting out and going to do things, because it does kind of keep you in tune with what's happening in the
Yeah.
city. And what's happening in Austin is a lot like New Orleans, where you're getting districts, whereas
Yeah.
before it was just Sixth Street. Sixth
Yeah.
Street was the place you go to
That was
Sixth.
it.
Yeah, Red River, Sixth Street, that area, and now it's being split off, and there's just different areas, and so it's not necessarily a bad thing. There's still a lot of artwork, and there's still a lot of uniqueness, and there's still a lot of artists here, but it's challenge. It can be challenging to live in a sustainable way as an artist. I will say that. And transport and traffic can be pretty agitating. I still love the city that I live in, though. Still love
No,
it.
no, for sure, man. I'm the same way, man. I mean, I'm on top of other things that I do, man. I'm actually a contract delivery driver, so I deliver furniture for big lots.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't see how big the city has grown because I've been to places where I'm like, dude, it's been trees for years, and now it's like houses, you know. And
Yeah.
so I've seen a lot of the growth the past few years, man. But yeah, it's just I like it for that reason alone. I mean, like I said, I mean, I've seen a lot of the neighborhoods like change, like flip from nice house, neighborhoods to just really really bad, bro. I mean, it's got its pros and cons. I mean, people moving in. I mean, a lot of these pop up houses, unfortunately, they're done real cheap. When I'm out there, I'm like, damn, you can just tell, being inside one that it was just cost efficient, but people are still moving here, so of course they're still building them. But my take on that is a lot of them, and I've always, whenever I hear people complaining about traffic, I always say, you know what, the city should build these streets before these houses, man, because they're building so many freaking subdivisions, and it's like 1 lane, 2 lanes, and I'm like, now
Yeah.
everybody's stuck in traffic 2 hours to get home, and it just sucks. But that's a downfall, man.
Yeah, for us, really, it's a fight of public transportation, like light rails and things. We're just Austin was a small city for so long that infrastructure was never there, and so we're just at the point where we have to have those modes of transportation. And if we do, then it'll help mitigate. But anyway, it's still
Yeah.
I'd say Austin's still a wonderful city. You know, um, don't ask me that question when I'm sitting in traffic.
Oh yeah.
See how much
Man.
I hate Austin.
Yeah.
But or when I found out the Lost Well is closing down or something. But there's a billion places to play here.
Yeah.
There's never any shortage of cool venues. You still have like some really come and take it live. You still have some really great places that have stood the test of time. And so it's still a pretty incredible place to be, I think.
No,
So if you're
for sure, man. And I mean, I still travel out there for events and others. So it's always, it's definitely always fun to go out there and try to beat traffic for one thing from here over there, man. But bro, but I mean, of course, when it comes to the Bat City Scaregrounds, of course, and Nightmare on 19th Street, the doors are already open.
No, we both my parks have the same schedule this year, and they're going to open the last Saturday of September.
Oh, okay, okay.
We are both my parks are wham bam, like they don't open as early as other places. When they open, they're just on it, man. We have live music. It's a whole thing. And so we don't do this thing where we open up early September and kind of half-ass it for a
Yeah,
couple weeks and offer $10 off, discount because people are getting a discounted experience. Like when we open, it's full force.
nice.
So
Like that.
we're open for 17 days and that's it. And so you have to come and get it while it's there. Come get your screen on.
No, and of course, when it comes to people that are already working for you guys, I mean, do you guys look for other scare actors, or is everything
Yeah,
already booked?
right now in particular, we're actively recruiting.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, actors and like park host, and things like that. So we're in the heat of that, and so I mean, this year in particular, it's been great. I haven't even had to boost a post about actors. We just have had
Nice.
ton of applications. People are very, and it doesn't surprise me as much because we're at the fourth year of Bat City,
Yeah,
and so I've just put a ton of money into advertising and billboards and stuff. And so what's
sweet.
happening is we're getting that cumulative marketing is what's
Yeah,
happening. And so the people are now there's an awareness about us, and people have been out to the parks in the years prior, and so they're like, that would be a fun place to go. And so whereas the first year or two I really had to push to try to get applications, and also that was post COVID. Now we're starting
yeah,
to get
yeah.
to the point where our awareness and the product, the quality of our product. I mean, we're the highest Google rated, place like this in Central Texas right now.
Nice,
Our
dude.
Google ratings are just amazing, and so I think the quality of the product and the awareness is getting people to just want to be involved. So
No, no. And of course, and before we wrap this up, man, I have one question for you, bro. And I keep seeing this float around, and I'm just kind of curious. When it comes to your top four, like everybody keeps talking about this rush mount, the four your four picks when it comes to horror. Mount Rushmore of horror, I guess they call it. But I mean, what are your four slashers, bro? Your four fave?
Oh, okay. Well, okay. So I'm a huge fan of Rob Zombie, and so I'm a big fan of House of a Thousand Corpses. And that's
Nice.
controversial. That's a controversial statement in our group, but I love that. I love that. I guess you're talking about film. I assume, but
Yeah.
I love it because I feel like Rob Zombie only thought that he ever was going to make one film at the time. He barely made that one, but and so he was like, how can I incorporate everything I love about horror and Halloween into one? So it's got
Yeah.
supernatural stuff with Dr. Satan. It's got serial killer vibe. It's got all this. So
Yeah.
I just felt like that was his love and passion for the genre all in one film, not thinking he would ever shoot another one, But so, that's definitely one of my top five. As far as like classics, like I said, Night of the Demons had a real
Yeah.
impact on me
Nice.
um, because the director he wrote the music and I was a musician, and directors come from different angles.
Yeah.
If you do research on directors, some of them are camera people that became directors. Some of them, and some of my favorite directors, horror directors, actually can come from they were musicians,
Yeah.
and so and he definitely was a musician and become a director. I didn't know that when I was a kid watching it. I just loved the film, and then I learned more about it, and it's kind of like learning the lyrics after you've already liked the song.
Oh yeah,
The lyrics
man.
are dope, and you're just kind of like, oh shit, this is way better than what I
There's
thought.
a message.
Um, and so okay, so those two are definitely. You said four. Oh gosh,
Four. Top four.
yeah, this is hard. Yeah, let's see. So the other two, I think I think you'd have to start going into impactful films
Yeah.
that impacted me. Poltergeist was a
Yeah.
film that really impacted me growing up. I was very young when I saw it, so maybe that's why it was so impactful. But I feel like Poltergeist was one of the first movies that was for me really horror. Where Night of the Demons, I was older. I was in high school or something when I first saw it, and it was fun. It was just kind of a fun movie to watch. But Poltergeist, I remember being just straight out, just horrified as a kid. It was too young to watch it, probably. And then the other one, I think, is similar for similar reasons, is Pet Cemetery. Pet Cemetery
Oh,
just
nice.
just caught me as a kid. Something
Yeah.
about it. I don't really have any huge fascination to anything particularly about it. It was one of those that if I think back from
Yeah.
early age and thought what impacted me the most when it comes to horror films, I think
That's
about
one of
Zelda
them.
in her bed, you know, in that film. It's just it really just I lost some sleep as a kid over Poltergeist. So those two are really truly the horror impact of a kid. And then Night of the Demons had a very fun as I became older and more of age. I had a good time. And that kind of spawned a different type of love for horror, more of like this can be really fun. It doesn't have to I don't have to lose sleep over it. I could just have fun with my friends and we can watch it and it could be sexy and all these things. And then just um, and then of course Rob Zombie's House of a
Yeah.
Thousand Corpses. Just I
Nice.
enjoy him.
And I was gonna say too, man, because one of the things with Poltergeist, you brought that up. It would always kill me because I told the younger generation this. I said back when we were growing up, at 12 o'clock, nothing was on, bro. It would go straight to static. It would be like the anthem and then boom, static, bro.
Right.
And so, I would always try to beat that because, of course, once that static went on, it was just like, I mean, it reminded me of that damn movie, man, the freaking Poltergeist, bro. So I would run like hell. But,
Yeah, it's really
but
weird if you think about it. That was scary in and of itself. It's like you're watching TV and then it's just static. It's like the world just cut
bro,
off.
yeah.
The world would just cut off and it was just static. And that in and of itself has this very surreal kind of feeling to it. It's like,
Yeah, man, because it's like they didn't expect us to be awake that late, or be doing stuff that late. But it's just
right.
like, I mean, to think about it back then, that was wild.
Mhm.
But my man, bro, I thank you for jumping on there, on here. When it comes to the projects, I'm definitely gonna be plugging in. I'm gonna be reaching out, of course, for the band itself, the Immortals, to bring you guys on here. But man, I mean, I'll keep up and see, man. But I definitely want to make it out there to Austin. Lubbock, I don't think I'll be able to make it out there, but Austin for sure, man. I'll go out there and hang out with you guys, bro.
Hey, and so we should talk about it, but we are doing a media release, a media showing at a drive-in theater,
Oh,
in
man.
Buda, and that's going to be in early October. And so it's for people like you to come and
Oh,
watch both
sweet, man.
the Black Quarry and Damsel of the Dune are being played back to back at a
Oh,
drive-in theater.
nice. Hell
And
yeah, dude.
yeah, there's a speakeasy bar, dude. It's really cool. It's where we do Scare Scream Theater
Yeah,
every month, and so we'd love to get you out. But we'll talk about that. But man, thank you so much
sure.
for having me on and being able to talk about all this crazy stuff, dude. I'm just so happy about that. I'm looking forward to getting the band on
Yeah.
and working with you more moving forward. So
No, no, for sure, man, and I appreciate that, man. But we'll definitely be loading this up and tagging you guys up, man. But I appreciate your time, everybody out there. Of course, make sure and follow up. This is sPidA once again, coming soon podcast. Till next time, follow up.